Maya had always been drawn to old cars. There was something about them that felt alive. She loved the way their metal bodies gleamed in the sun and how every scratch or dent seemed to tell a story. She liked imagining the people who had driven them, the journeys they had taken, and the memories the cars carried quietly within their seats and dashboards. Her own small apartment in the city didn't allow for many hobbies, but collecting cars, even just in her imagination, was one of her greatest joys. One Saturday morning, the sun was shining brightly, and the air was crisp. Maya decided to take a walk through her neighborhood. She liked to start her weekends this way, exploring local garage sales, antique shops, and flea markets. She never knew what she might find. Sometimes it was a rare book, sometimes an old watch, and sometimes just an object that sparked her imagination. On that particular morning, she wasn't expecting anything extraordinary. She just wanted to enjoy the quiet streets, the laughter of children playing nearby, and the smell of fresh bread from a small bakery down the block. As she turned a corner, she noticed a small garage sale in front of an old house. Tables were set up with items spread across them. There were boxes of books, old furniture, glass vases, and piles of clothing. Maya walked slowly, examining each item. Most of it was ordinary, worn by time and weather. Then, in a small corner of the driveway, she saw something that made her stop. It was a car. Not a new one, not shiny and perfect, but a car that seemed to demand attention even in its faded condition. It was a bright blue Camaro, its paint dull from years in the sun, the tires dusty, and the seats showing signs of wear. Yet, Maya could see the beauty beneath it. She knelt beside it, running her hand along the metal, feeling the curves and edges. There was a quiet strength about the car, a sense of pride that had not yet faded. "Is it for sale?" she asked the man standing nearby. He was an older gentleman, perhaps in his 70s, with silver hair and kind eyes. He wore a simple shirt and trousers, and there was a calmness in the way he carried himself. "Yes," he replied, smiling. "It is. I haven't had time to take care of it, and I want someone who will enjoy it. I am asking $500. Maya blinked. She had read and heard about classic cars being sold for thousands, even tens of thousands, but here was a Camaro, one of her dream cars, offered for just $500. She felt a rush of excitement. "500?" she repeated, almost laughing at the thought. "Yes," the man said kindly. "It's not in perfect condition, but it runs. It has been well loved. I hope it finds someone who will take care of it." Maya looked around, unsure if this was really happening. She glanced at her small purse, counting the bills she had saved for just such a rare moment. It was enough. Her heart raced as she made her decision. She had never bought a car before, let alone one so special. But she knew, without a doubt, that this was meant to be. "I'll take it," she said, her voice trembling slightly. The man nodded and handed her the keys. "Take good care of it," he said. "It has been part of my family for many years. You will find that it has more to offer than just the engine and the wheels. Treat it kindly." Maya smiled, feeling a mixture of joy and disbelief. She handed over the money, and just like that, the Camaro was hers. She stepped back, looking at the car, imagining all the possibilities. She thought about restoring it, polishing the metal, fixing the seats, and driving it around town. The thought made her heart beat faster. She spent the rest of the morning pushing the car carefully to her driveway. It was heavy, and the tires made a low, gravelly sound against the stones, but she didn't mind. Every small step felt like a part of the adventure she had dreamed about for years. She paused, leaning against the car and taking a deep breath. The world around her seemed to fade, leaving only her and the Camaro. Once the car was parked, she opened the doors and sat inside. The seats were worn, the floor smelled faintly of old leather, and the dashboard had scratches. But to Maya, it was perfect. She ran her fingers along the steering wheel and turned the key. The engine roared to life, louder and stronger than she had expected. She could feel the energy of the car, as if it were alive, welcoming her into its world. Maya spent the next few hours exploring every inch of the Camaro. She opened the hood and looked at the engine, imagining how it had powered long journeys and countless memories. She examined the seats, noting where they needed repairs, and inspected the trunk, wondering what it might have carried over the years. She even checked the glove box, running her fingers over the dusty surface, imagining it had once held small treasures or letters from the past. As the sun began to set, Maya stood back and admired the car. It wasn't perfect, but that was what made it special. It had a story, a history, and now, she was going to add her own chapter. She imagined driving it on open roads, feeling the wind against her face, and the thrill of controlling something that had lived many lives before hers. That night, Maya couldn't stop thinking about the Camaro. She made plans to clean it the next day, to polish the rusted parts, and to begin restoring it to its former glory. She also felt a quiet curiosity about the previous owner, the man who had trusted her with the car. There was something in his eyes, a softness, as if he was passing on not just a car, but a piece of his life. As she went to bed, she dreamed of the Camaro on long highways, mountains in the distance, and sunlight reflecting off its blue surface. She felt a sense of connection, as if the car was speaking to her in its own silent language, telling her that their journey together had only just begun. Maya didn't know yet what secrets the car held, what surprises awaited her, or what memories it carried. But she felt ready. She knew that owning this Camaro would change her life, not just as a car enthusiast, but as someone who could honor the past while creating her own adventures. And for Maya, that feeling was more exciting than anything she had ever experienced before. The next morning, Maya woke up with a sense of excitement she had not felt in a long time. The sun shone through her small apartment window, and the city outside seemed quiet, almost as if it were waiting with her. She dressed quickly, eager to return to the Camaro, which sat in her driveway, waiting patiently for her attention. Maya had prepared for this moment. She had gathered cleaning supplies, polish, cloths, and tools she thought she might need to begin restoring the car. Every item she placed beside the Camaro seemed to whisper possibilities. Fresh shine, repaired seats, a new life for an old beauty. She smiled to herself. This was more than just a project. It was a chance to connect with something from the past, to care for it, and to give it purpose once again. She began with the exterior. The car's faded blue paint needed careful attention. Maya poured water over the body, scrubbing gently with a soft cloth. Dust and grime lifted slowly, revealing flashes of the car's original shine. The more she cleaned, the more she could see the Camaro's curves and lines. It was a strong, beautiful car. Even with its age, it had a presence that demanded respect. She paused every few minutes to run her fingers along the hood and doors, imagining the journeys it had taken decades ago. After several hours of cleaning, Maya moved to the interior. The seats were worn, and the leather smelled faintly of old years, but she worked patiently. She washed the surfaces, polished the dashboard, and carefully vacuumed the carpets. It felt like uncovering a treasure, even though it was only dust and dirt at first. Yet, with each careful touch, the car seemed to respond. The Camaro, in its quiet way, seemed to appreciate her care. While checking the glove box one more time, Maya noticed something she had missed before. A small envelope had slipped between the dashboard and the seat. It was yellowed with age, the paper slightly brittle. She felt a sudden rush of curiosity and excitement. Could it be something left by the previous owner? Her hands trembled slightly as she picked it up. The envelope had Mr. Lewis's name written in neat handwriting. It was addressed, "To the person who loves this car." Maya's heart beat faster. She carefully opened it and removed the folded letter inside. The handwriting was clear, precise, and full of care. She began to read. "To the person who cares for this car as much as I did, you have found something very special. This Camaro is not just a machine. It carries memories, laughter, and moments of love. When I bought it, it was my dream. I drove it on open roads, through cities, along rivers, and into forests. My wife and I shared our happiest days here. We talked, we laughed, and sometimes we cried. But the car was always with us, a witness to everything we experienced together." Maya read slowly, her eyes widening as she took in every word. She felt a strange connection to the man who had written it, even though she had only met him briefly. It was as if he had left a piece of his life for her to find, trusting that she would understand its value. The letter continued. There is a small compartment in the glove box. It contains a few letters, photographs, and small items that my wife and I treasured. I hope you find them and understand that this car is more than metal and wheels. It is a keeper of memories. Treat it well, and it will reward you in ways you cannot imagine. Maya's hands shook as she carefully opened the glove box again. She pressed on the edges of the small compartment described in the letter. At first, it resisted, as if it had not been opened in years. Then, with a quiet click, it released. Inside, she found a small tin box. It was old and slightly rusted, but the lock was still intact. Her curiosity grew. Slowly, she lifted the lid. Inside were photographs of a younger couple smiling beside the Camaro, letters tied with a faded ribbon, and a few small coins that looked as if they had traveled across decades. Maya picked up a photograph first. It showed a young Mr. Lewis and his wife, standing beside the Camaro on a sunny afternoon. Their faces were full of joy. The car seemed to be a silent participant in their happiness, standing proudly beside them. Next, she unfolded the letters. They were written by Mr. Lewis's wife. The words spoke of hope, love, and encouragement. In one letter, she had written about the day she and Mr. Lewis had bought the Camaro together. In another, she described a long road trip where they had watched the sunrise on a quiet beach. Every word seemed full of life, full of memories that Maya could almost feel as if she were there with them. Maya sat on the driveway, the tin box in her lap, feeling a deep connection to people she had never met. She imagined their lives, their laughter, their struggles, and their joys. She realized that the Camaro was not just a car. It was a guardian of stories, a vessel that had carried love, hope, and happiness across time. She decided that day that she would not only restore the car physically but also honor its history. She would preserve the letters and photographs, keep the tin box safe, and make sure that the Camaro continued to hold memories, not just hers, but for anyone who would one day love it as much as Mr. Lewis and his wife had. Maya spent the rest of the afternoon arranging the items she had found. She read the letters again, slowly this time, savoring each sentence. She smiled at the photographs, imagining the couple driving the Camaro on sunny afternoons, feeling the wind in their hair and the thrill of the open road. Every item she touched seemed to speak to her, urging her to care for the car and create her own story within it. By the time evening came, Maya felt both exhausted and exhilarated. The Camaro, now shining brightly after hours of cleaning and polishing, sat proudly in her driveway. She ran her hand over the hood once more, feeling a sense of pride and responsibility. This car had been loved before. Now, it was her turn to cherish it. Maya closed the glove box carefully, making sure the tin box and letters were safe. She locked it gently and sat inside the car, imagining the adventures that awaited her. She thought of the road trips she could take, the places she could explore, and the memories she could create. But she also knew that she had been given something special, a connection to the past, to a story that had been waiting for someone to continue it. As the sun set, Maya made a promise to herself. She would not just own this car. She would respect it, care for it, and let it be a part of her life in a meaningful way. She felt a warmth in her heart, a sense of purpose and excitement that made her world feel larger and brighter. The Camaro was more than a car. It was a bridge between the past and the future, and Maya was ready to cross it. The next morning, Maya woke early, her mind buzzing with excitement. She could hardly wait to spend more time with the Camaro. After her discovery of the tin box and the letters, the car had become more than just a project. It had become a connection to the past, to a life that had been lived fully, and she felt a deep responsibility to honor it. Maya brewed a cup of coffee and carried it to her driveway. The Camaro gleamed in the morning sunlight, its blue paint now shining after her cleaning efforts. She ran her hand over the hood, feeling the smooth metal beneath her fingers. She took a deep breath, ready to continue exploring the car's secrets. Her first plan for the day was to examine the engine. She had learned a little about cars over the years, enough to know that the engine was the heart of a vehicle. She opened the hood and carefully inspected each part. Dust and rust were present, but she could see that the engine was strong and well built. Maya imagined Mr. Lewis driving the Camaro, feeling the power of the engine beneath him. She could almost hear the roar of the car as it traveled down open roads. After checking the engine, Maya returned to the glove box and tin box. She wanted to read more of the letters and study the photographs carefully. Sitting on the driveway with the tin box in her lap, she opened another letter. This one was dated several years after the couple had purchased the car. In it, Mr. Lewis's wife wrote about a long journey they had taken along the coast, watching the sun set over the water. She described the smell of the sea, the sound of waves crashing against rocks, and the way the Camaro had carried them smoothly through winding roads. Maya could picture it all clearly, feeling as if she were on that trip with them. After reading, Maya noticed something unusual about one of the photographs. It was a picture of the car parked near a small house with a garden full of flowers. In the corner of the photograph, partially hidden behind a bush, was a small envelope taped to the back of the car. Maya's curiosity piqued. Could the photograph itself be hinting at something else left behind in the Camaro? She carefully inspected the tin box again and then the car, looking for any hidden compartments she might have missed. Her eyes landed on the small space under the passenger seat. It was covered by a floor mat, and she hadn't paid much attention to it before. Maya carefully lifted the mat and discovered a shallow compartment beneath it. Inside was a small, worn leather folder. She opened it and found several folded papers and a single key attached to a tag that read, "For new adventures." Her heart raced. What could this key unlock? Maya carefully unfolded the papers. They were letters and maps, written by Mr. Lewis over the years. Each letter spoke of journeys he had taken, people he had met, and lessons he had learned. Some described beautiful places in the countryside, others told stories of small towns and the kind strangers who had helped him along the way. One letter mentioned a hidden location where he had left a few personal items, hoping that one day, someone who loved the Camaro would find them. Maya felt a thrill. It was as if the car was not only a machine but a guide. It was guiding her to experiences and stories she could not yet imagine. She knew that this was something rare. Not many people found objects that carried both history and opportunity in such a personal way. The Camaro, it seemed, had chosen her. Determined to follow the clues, Maya decided to take a short drive. She packed the folder and key carefully in her bag and settled into the driver's seat. As she turned the ignition, the engine roared to life, sounding stronger than ever. She smiled, feeling a surge of excitement. Today, she was not just restoring a car. She was beginning an adventure, one that had started decades ago with Mr. Lewis and his wife, and one that was now continuing with her. Maya drove slowly at first, learning the way the car handled. The streets of her city were busy, but the Camaro moved smoothly, as if it remembered every road it had traveled. She felt connected to the car, as if it were speaking to her in its own silent way, urging her to keep going, to explore, to discover. After a while, Maya reached the outskirts of the city, where the streets were quieter and the scenery more open. She decided to follow one of the maps she had found in the leather folder. The map showed a small coastal area, a place where Mr. Lewis had written that he had left a note for the future owner of the Camaro. Maya's curiosity grew stronger with each mile. When she finally arrived, she parked the car near the edge of a cliff overlooking the sea. The wind was strong, carrying the scent of salt and fresh air. Maya felt a sense of wonder and anticipation. She took out the letters and examined the location carefully. One letter mentioned a small rock formation near the water. Following the instructions, Maya walked carefully toward it. Her fingers brushed against a flat stone, and she noticed something beneath it, a small, weathered metal box. Maya picked up the box and opened it with careful hands. Inside, she found a few more letters, some photographs of places she had never seen, and a small notebook filled with stories of adventures Mr. Lewis and his wife had experienced. Each page was filled with hope, courage, and encouragement to follow one's dreams. Maya realized that the couple had wanted the Camaro to carry not just memories, but also lessons about life, bravery, and love. Sitting on the cliff, Maya read through the letters and the notebook, feeling a deep connection to the past. She thought about the journey she could take, the memories she could create, and the people she could meet along the way. The Camaro was more than a car. It was a bridge to a life filled with adventure, discovery, and meaning. As the sun began to set, casting golden light across the water, Maya carefully packed the letters, photographs, and notebook back into the metal box. She tucked it safely into the glove box, next to the tin box she had found earlier. The Camaro gleamed under the sunlight, proud and strong, ready for the journeys ahead. Maya sat in the driver's seat, taking a deep breath. She knew that this was only the beginning. The Camaro had more to show her, more stories to tell, and more memories to carry forward. She felt a surge of gratitude for Mr. Lewis and his wife, who had trusted her with their beloved car and the treasures it held. She promised herself that she would honor their legacy and make the most of the adventures that awaited her. For Maya, the Camaro was no longer just an old car purchased for $500. It was a gateway to experiences, stories, and life lessons she could not have imagined. And as she drove back home, the wind in her hair and the engine's powerful hum beneath her, she felt alive in a way she had never felt before. The journey had only just begun, and Maya was ready to follow it wherever it would lead. The next morning, Maya woke early again, feeling a mixture of excitement and determination. The Camaro had changed everything for her. It was no longer just an old car she had bought for $500. It had become a treasure chest of memories, stories, and lessons from the past. The letters, photographs, and maps she had discovered hinted at adventures, and she could feel that the car was guiding her toward something even bigger. Maya brewed a fresh cup of coffee and carried it to the driveway, where the Camaro gleamed in the morning light. She ran her hand along the hood and smiled. Today, she decided, she would spend time not just restoring the car but understanding the life of the people who had loved it before her. She opened the glove box and looked at the tin box and the metal box she had found on the cliffside. She carefully removed the letters and photographs and spread them on the passenger seat. Each photograph told a story. There was one of the couple driving the Camaro through a mountain pass, their faces glowing in the sunlight. Another showed them at a small countryside fair, the Camaro parked nearby while they smiled at the camera. Maya imagined the laughter they had shared, the wind in their hair, and the joy of having someone to share every moment with. She realized that these moments had been carefully preserved, as if the Camaro itself had wanted someone else to experience them one day. Then Maya turned her attention to the letters. She had read them before, but today she read them more carefully. Each one was filled with advice, encouragement, and reflections on life. One letter spoke about the importance of taking chances and embracing new experiences, even when they seemed frightening. Another letter emphasized the joy of caring for something or someone, of putting effort and love into what you value. Maya felt a warmth in her heart as she read. These were not just memories of the past, they were lessons she could apply to her own life. As she read, Maya realized that the previous owners had left her more than just physical objects. They had left her guidance, a kind of roadmap for living fully. She thought about her own life, the routine she often followed, and the dreams she had put aside. Suddenly, she felt a sense of clarity. The Camaro was teaching her something important, that life was meant to be explored, cherished, and shared. Determined to follow the advice in the letters, Maya decided to take the Camaro on a longer journey. She wanted to experience the car as Mr. Lewis and his wife had, on open roads, through small towns, and along quiet beaches. She packed a small bag with essentials, carefully placing the tin box and metal box back in the glove compartment for safekeeping. Then, she started the engine. The roar of the Camaro felt like a promise. It was ready to take her on a journey she would never forget. As Maya drove, she felt a sense of freedom she had never experienced before. The wind blew through her hair, the sun warmed her face, and the engine's power beneath her feet made her heart race. She followed one of the maps from the metal box, a route that led through scenic countryside roads. The scenery was breathtaking, rolling hills, green fields, and forests that seemed to stretch endlessly. Maya felt as though she was stepping into a story that had begun decades ago but was now becoming her own. Along the way, she stopped in a small town that looked like it had been frozen in time. There were quaint shops, cobblestone streets, and a quiet charm that made Maya smile. She parked the Camaro near a small cafe and stepped out. As she walked through the town, she imagined the couple who had once driven the Camaro here, laughing and enjoying the simple pleasures of life. She realized that the letters had given her more than guidance. They had given her a sense of connection to people she had never met, to a life that had been full of love, care, and joy. Back in the car, Maya continued driving, following the map to a coastal area where the letter had suggested she might find something special. As she approached the water, the air grew salty and fresh, and the sound of waves crashing against rocks filled her ears. She parked the Camaro on a small cliffside, just as she had done when she discovered the metal box. Maya stepped out, feeling the wind on her face and the warmth of the sun on her skin. She opened the glove box and carefully took out the metal box, placing it on the ground beside her. Maya opened the box and read the letters once more, this time paying attention to the advice about life and choices. One letter suggested writing her own thoughts and experiences, so that one day, someone else might discover them. Maya smiled. She realized that the Camaro was not just a link to the past, it was a bridge to the future. She took a notebook from her bag and began writing. She described her journey, the road she had traveled, the towns she had visited, and the lessons she had learned from the letters. She wrote about the joy of restoring the car, the thrill of discovering its secrets, and the sense of connection she felt to the couple who had owned it before her. As she wrote, Maya felt a sense of peace and purpose. The Camaro had given her more than a car or an adventure, it had given her clarity about what mattered in life. She realized that small actions, like caring for something or someone, could create ripples of happiness and meaning. The letters and photographs had shown her that love, care, and joy were timeless, and that the memories we create could touch people we might never meet. The sun began to set, casting golden light across the water. Maya closed her notebook and placed it carefully back in her bag. She returned the metal box to the glove compartment and ran her hand along the Camaro's hood. She felt a deep gratitude for the car, for the letters, and for the life lessons she had received. She knew that the journey was far from over. There were more roads to explore, more stories to discover, and more memories to create. Driving back home, Maya felt alive in a way she had never felt before. The engine purred beneath her, the car responding to her every movement as if it understood her excitement. She realized that this journey was not just about restoring a car or discovering letters. It was about embracing life fully, taking chances, and cherishing the connections that make life meaningful. When she finally parked the Camaro in her driveway, the sky was a deep shade of pink and orange. Maya sat in the car for a few moments, savoring the experience. She had discovered secrets, learned important lessons, and felt a connection to a past that had been carefully preserved for her. The Camaro had given her more than she could have imagined, and she knew that it would continue to guide her in the days, months, and years ahead. Maya made a promise to herself that night. She would continue to care for the Camaro, honor the memories it carried, and write her own story within it. She would follow the advice of the letters, take chances, and embrace the adventures that life offered. The car was no longer just an object, it was a teacher, a companion, and a symbol of hope, love, and possibility. As Maya turned off the lights and went to bed, she felt a sense of peace. The Camaro sat quietly in the driveway, gleaming in the moonlight, as if it were smiling back at her. Maya knew that this was only the beginning. There were more adventures ahead, more memories to create, and more lessons to learn. And she was ready for every single one of them. The following morning, Maya woke with a feeling she had never experienced before. The Camaro was no longer just a car or a project. It had become a part of her life, a companion, and a teacher. She walked to her driveway, coffee in hand, and gazed at the car. Its blue paint glimmered in the morning sunlight, and the engine hummed softly, as if eager for the day's journey. Maya knew that the adventure she had started was far from over. She spent the morning polishing the final details of the Camaro. The tires were clean, the chrome shone brightly, and the seats were repaired carefully. Each action felt like a small act of respect for the previous owners. As she ran her hands over the hood, she remembered the letters, the photographs, and the metal box she had discovered. Each item had taught her something valuable, lessons about love, courage, adventure, and the joy of caring for what matters. Maya decided it was time to continue her journey. She packed a small bag, including her notebook where she had begun writing her own letters and experiences. The Camaro roared to life as she turned the key, a sound that filled her with excitement and freedom. Today, she would follow one of the older maps she had found in the metal box, a route leading to a small town near the mountains. According to the letter, it was a place that held special memories for Mr. Lewis and his wife. The drive was breathtaking. The road wound through hills, forests, and valleys, each turn revealing new beauty. Maya felt completely alive. She remembered the advice from the letters, to take chances, embrace life fully, and treasure every moment. As she drove, she realized that this was more than a car trip. It was a journey of discovery, not just of places, but of herself. The Camaro was guiding her, just as it had guided its previous owners decades ago. Along the way, Maya stopped at a small cafe in the town. The place was quiet, with wooden tables and a view of the mountains. She parked the Camaro near the entrance, and as she stepped out, a man walked toward her. He was older, with silver hair, and there was a familiar kindness in his eyes. Maya's heart skipped a beat. She recognized him immediately. "Hello, Maya," the man said gently. "I hope you don't mind me stopping by. I wanted to see the Camaro one more time." Maya smiled, her heart full of warmth. "Mr. Lewis, I didn't expect to see you here." He nodded, looking at the car with pride. "I wanted to make sure it was in good hands. I see now that it is more than in good hands. You have brought it to life again, and I am grateful." Maya felt a rush of emotions. She had admired Mr. Lewis's care for the car, and now she realized that the trust he had placed in her had changed her life. "The Camaro, it's amazing," she said. "I've discovered so much about it, about you, and about your wife. The letters, the photographs, they've taught me more than I could ever have imagined." Mr. Lewis smiled, his eyes softening. "That was always the plan. That car has been part of our lives for many years. We hoped that whoever came next would care for it, not just as a car, but as a keeper of memories. And now I see that you understand its true value." He handed her a small envelope. Maya took it carefully, curious. Inside was a letter, written in Mr. Lewis's own handwriting. It read, "Maya, thank you for giving our beloved Camaro a new life. You have treated it with love and care, and in doing so, you have continued our story. Life is full of adventures, and the car will guide you to many more. Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep writing your story. One day, someone else may find it and continue the journey. You are part of something bigger than yourself." Maya felt tears in her eyes. The words were simple, yet they carried a depth she could feel in her heart. She realized that the Camaro had not just given her adventures and lessons, it had given her purpose. It had connected her to the past, given her direction in the present, and inspired her to shape the future. After their brief meeting, Mr. Lewis left, smiling and nodding. Maya watched him go, feeling a deep gratitude. She returned to the Camaro, running her hands along the hood. The car gleamed in the sunlight, proud and alive, ready for more journeys. Maya knew that she was ready too. She decided to take a longer drive, following the coast this time. The road stretched endlessly, the ocean to one side, cliffs rising on the other. The engine roared beneath her, and Maya felt a freedom she had never known. She thought of the couple who had driven the Camaro before her, imagining their laughter, their journeys, and the love that had filled every mile. She smiled, feeling that their happiness was somehow passing through the car to her. As the day turned into evening, Maya found a quiet beach. She parked the Camaro on the sand, the waves glistening under the sunset. She opened her notebook and began to write. She wrote about the day she had bought the car, about the letters, the photographs, and the discoveries she had made. She wrote about the lessons she had learned, to care deeply, to embrace life fully, and to trust in the journey. She also wrote about her own dreams. She wrote about the places she wanted to see, the experiences she wanted to have, and the connections she hoped to make. Maya realized that the Camaro had become a partner in her journey, helping her understand the importance of living fully, not just for herself, but for the stories she would leave behind. As the stars began to appear in the sky, Maya closed her notebook and looked at the Camaro. She felt a quiet joy and peace. The car had given her so much more than she had expected. It had brought her adventure, understanding, and a sense of connection that she had never felt before. It had also shown her that small acts of care and attention could create a lasting impact. Maya knew that the journey was only beginning. There would be more roads to travel, more memories to create, and more lessons to learn. She promised herself that she would continue to honor the Camaro, the letters, and the stories it carried. She would also continue writing her own experiences, leaving something behind for the next person who would find the car and continue the journey. Finally, Maya leaned back in her seat, listening to the gentle sound of the waves. She felt a deep sense of gratitude for the life-changing letter, for the trust Mr. Lewis had placed in her, and for the Camaro itself. It was not just a car. It was a bridge between the past, present, and future, a symbol of love, hope, and the power of stories. With a smile, Maya started the engine one last time for the day. The Camaro purred beneath her, ready to carry her wherever the road led. She drove slowly along the coast, feeling the wind, the sun, and the sense of adventure that had become part of her life. She knew that every mile would be filled with stories, and every turn would bring new lessons. Maya realized that some treasures are not measured in money or possessions. Some treasures are measured in connection, in memories, and in the lessons we carry forward. The Camaro had given her all of that and more. It had changed her life in ways she could not have imagined. And as she drove into the night, with stars above and the hum of the engine beneath her, Maya knew she was exactly where she was meant to be, on a journey that would last a lifetime, guided by the stories of the past and the promise of the future.